So you gotta tear that old 3rd Gen 4runner apart to get to the heads to do a head gasket replacement and a possible head rebuild. Well, stay tuned, because I'm going to show you my experience tearing into mine. And let me tell you, some of it, it's a pain in the ass. Now, there might be some of you out there who are watching this video who've seen my Oakland videos and are fans of it and are probably going, you gave up. Nope, hang on. I haven't given up. Like I said, that's going to take time, guys. That's going to take time. In order for me to work on that, I got to get this out of here. You'll be seeing videos in the future about it. Just be a little patient. I'll get to it. But today, we're looking at a 3rd Gen 4runner. Now, my reasoning for having to do this job in the first place is because about a year ago, I lost compression on one whole side of my 3.4. You know how like those really high people, how they cough too much, they kind of throw up or have a gag reflex? Yeah, that's kind of like what this thing was sounding like at the end of it. So I had to go about tearing this entire damn thing apart. Let me show you what I mean. In order to get all the way down to the pistons, to the mating surface, and get to those bad boys, you gotta tear all this shit off. Yeah, if you think this is gonna be a one-night project, y'all, you're out of your mind, because this is a lot of stuff, and some of it is kind of tricky to get to. Everything on this table, everything right here, all has to come off. Don't pay attention to that. Including everything over here. All this. This is one of the reasons why I don't like working on modern vehicles or machines. It's just so much crap in the way. Anyway, the first thing you really got to take off is all the plastics. You got to take your whole airbox off. Now, the way I've laid this out, this is pretty much exactly the way it would be on the engine. I just have it laid out the best I can to make it easier for myself to put it back together when the time comes. But you've got to take your airbox off, you've got to take the top of your manifold off, you've got to take your front cover off, you've got to take your spark plug wires off, your pulleys off. That's pretty much all the top stuff you've got to get off first. And some of it's kind of tricky. There's a lot of connectors that you need to disconnect, and you've even got to take your skid plates off. Oh man. It's a very time-consuming project. I'm going to tell you that right now. I had to buy a new radiator. That's probably one thing that you should do, because I didn't find this out until I took it apart. They made the radiator out of plastic. Why? Just why? That is bound to fail eventually. So I bought an aluminum one. I'm hoping it's way better. If you're doing a head gasket replacement, chances are you're going to be doing a timing belt replacement and a water pump replacement too. That's what all this stuff is. I've got gaskets, I've got a water pump in here, I've got a timing belt in here. You might as well just replace all that while you're tearing the entire thing apart. It's just the smart thing to do. And that's what all these parts are here. This is all brand new parts. There's my cover. I decided I'm going to do a little bit of paint job work while the heads are getting machined. Because what I convinced my father to do is to get my heads machined, because there is blow-by on the driver's side, so that's probably where the compression was lost. But I really don't want to put all this back together and then have to tear it all the way back down because the heads are screwed. One of the main things you're going to find out right away, and this is one thing that really pissed me off while doing this project, is this damn wiring harness. See, the thing about this is I searched high and low on how I can get this thing out, and you can't. You just forget about it. You can't. You're gonna have to do exactly what I've done here and just elevate it out of the way the best you can without breaking any connectors. Now, I know I'm not like actually showing you how to take the thing apart because I've already done it. What I'm really trying to do is just give you guys a little bit of a warning, and I'm saying take your time on this. This is not going to be a one-day project. I think it took me maybe 2.5 months to tear this thing apart entirely. So, yeah. But there is a good little series on YouTube on how to do your head gaskets, which I've watched so far to do everything I've done now. I think it's by a guy by the name of Timmy the Tool Man. So if you want some good advice and be shown how to properly take this thing apart, he's the guy to check out. So, yeah. I honestly think the only way you can really take this wiring harness out is if you disconnect it all like this and tear out the dash and get it out that way. That's just my guesstimation. Another problem you're going to be facing, the same as I did and probably the same as everybody else who's taken one of these apart, is the tensioner pulley right here. That thing is kind of a little The reason being is, from what my dad explained, is somehow it's hydraulically compressed tension, and that's how your tensioner works. See, if I can get down low enough, you can see right here and right back here there'd be 2 bolts that go up that hold an entire assembly below this. And you might be saying, okay, that's not such a big deal, until you actually see. I don't know if I can really show you, but it's probably back here, the hole. In order to get this off, you are going to have to try and sift your way through the frame and the engine block and everything right here to get up with a whole wacky assortment of extensions and swivels and things of that nature. Otherwise, you're going to have to do the last-ditch effort and do what I did and just completely disconnect the AC compressor to the engine right here. And it would go right about here. Held on by, if I can remember correctly, 4 or 5 bolts. It's not really that big of a deal, but, you know, just takes time. So, yeah, just be wary of this thing. It's going to try and trick you. Another thing I should probably warn you about is your exhaust system. See, the thing is, you're going to have to disconnect it from all the way down here, right about there. Right about there. Then you're going to have to disconnect both exhaust manifolds from your cross pipe. I was able to get it on this side, get it off on this side here, but I couldn't get it off on this side because that guy right there is the culprit. It would not come loose. I heated it, I did everything in the world, I couldn't get it off. So what I had to do was I got that one loose. I got it all off the head on that side. I took it off and I made sure I had this whole assembly loose from the actual exhaust going back towards the rear of the vehicle. I loosened it on this side and I got it off here. And I had just enough space to push this entire assembly this way to get this to slide off the head enough so I could get the head off. If that happens to you where your nut will not come off, this is the best way I've found, is take the side that you can get off first, then slide the entire assembly over, get the head off, then you can get to this. Unfortunately, I found out that if I want to get this whole assembly out of here to paint it, I gotta take whatever the hell this thing is off, which I think it's only 2 bolts there and a couple of bolts back there. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, is it worth the effort? I'm just going to stick the thing back on, and it's going to not be pretty forever. Should probably show you the heads, at least one of them. The other one is in Pop's Subaru, and he's going to take both of these things to the machine shop tomorrow. So, huzzah on that. But when you get to your heads, when you get your valve cover off and everything, you're going to have to take your camshafts out, which isn't a big deal. If you have a manual, it'll tell you how to do all this. But you got to loosen them in a specific order. Take one out, loosen them in a specific order, take it out. Then you got that all done. Just be sure to remember that on the back here you got a cup of, oh, not a cup, but just a couple of little spots. You can see that little dot there. Just make sure you're lining them up properly and everything. I had to put these suckers back on to take it to the machine shop. They're not bolted on, they're loose, they're just in there. Aside from taking everything on the top off, you're also going to have to take a couple pieces on the front off. Your camshaft pulleys, your idler pulley, this whole assembly here. Here's the timing belt. Make sure and mark your timing belt. There's a couple of marks where you need to mark things. And then, if I can show you, yeah. So just mark it. Make sure everything's lined up so when you put it back together it won't be too much of a hassle. And another cool trick is label your stuff. Put them in bags. Helps a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to show you for this video, guys. Just a quick video trying to give you some warning and show you what all you're going to have to do to get this thing apart and get it working properly again. You know, these old 3rd gen 4runners are pretty damn tough. I drove this thing for, what, 2-3 years. No problem. Regular oil changes. Ran just fine. Never had a problem. It just lost compression because the head gasket decided to go. But my dad did say that the crosshatching is still on the cylinder walls. So, at 250,000 miles, yeah, I think I got another 250,000 miles. So, hope you enjoyed this video, guys. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more content. Yamasaki out. We'll see y'all later.